Double double. Is that a Canadian thing?
This is the right way to make an Americano. Sometimes I look in the cup later and I see there's a little something in there and I get a little dicey about it emotionally inside.
What do you mean?
All right, so today we're going to talk about making the transition to drinking your coffee black. So no cream, sugar, syrups, any of that, or how to support your special person in making that transition. This is my wife, Sarah. We do occasionally videos together. We got another great one, her 10 favorite prettiest coffee things. Yeah, so you can go and check that out too. That's a great video. But this is actually a question that we get asked a lot, and I get asked a lot on my channel, is like, I'm really passionate about coffee. I love drinking it black. I'm into the tasting note things. How do I help my special person enjoy it in the same way? Or I'm looking to make that transition and I don't really know the best way to get over that hump. So we're going to talk about that. I got some questions here. So tell us how you traditionally have liked to enjoy your coffee.
Double double. Is that a Canadian thing?
It is.
Okay, that is 2
thing.
cream, 2 sugar.
Yeah.
When we got married, I was for sure drinking double double, and that was 10 years ago, almost 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And it took like 8 years for me to drink black coffee.
Yeah, it took a while.
Took a long time.
It took a long time. And you were, I'm going to say, pretty hesitant to making that change.
Yeah, because I didn't care.
Yeah, totally.
I was happy with how things were.
So for anybody who's out here who is kind of considering making this jump, what would you say to that person?
Well, first of all, there's nothing wrong with drinking milk and sugar in your coffee. If you like it that way, or cream and sugar.
Yeah.
That's great. Drink your coffee how you enjoy it. Life is short.
Yeah.
But I would say if you want to remove milk and sugar from your coffee, whether you want to get the sugar out or the dairy out or whatever, there is lots of possibility within black coffee. There's just a narrow window of coffee that I like black.
Yep.
And otherwise, I still sometimes put milk or sugar or both in my coffee.
Yep.
So find what you like to enjoy black.
Yep. Totally.
I think.
Yeah.
Is what I would say.
Yeah. Cool. That's fair. What made you want to make that change?
Nothing.
Or did I make you make that change? Yeah. But I didn't make you do it.
You didn't. Well, you didn't make me, but he made me coffee every morning. He's been making me coffee every morning for a decade. And you would give it to me with milk and sugar the way I like. And then he just sort of like stopped putting milk and sugar in it before he gave it to me.
Yeah.
And like look at me and watch me take a sip. And then usually I would add milk and sugar. I think first I stopped adding the sugar. I would just add a little bit of milk. If it was like
That's right.
too strong or too bitter, I would add milk. And I think you would just like try, like put it down in front of me and like see. So I guess because you were always the one making me the coffee, which I always gratefully accepted, then you just kind of made me switch.
Yeah, this is...
But I didn't really care. Like I didn't have that goal.
So we didn't rehearse this, and I'm only now just remembering how this happened. And it is actually quite funny because like I would love black coffee. And I quite enjoyed it. I like getting the tasting notes out of it. And I always kind of hoped for that for Sarah. Mm-hmm. And I would just like, it was kind of devious actually. What I did is the first thing that I would take out and I would just give her, I would like do half of what I normally would. So it still tasted a little sweet or it still looked like it had creamer in it, but really it had way less than she would normally put in. So
and then I taste it and see if I liked it.
And then often you would like, I would get found out and she would like put more in. But I'm actually just remembering that now that I used to do that. And it was kind of sneaky what I did. But it paid off in the end, so.
Yeah. And now I genuinely enjoy coffee black more than I do with cream and sugar.
Yes.
And cream and sugar is a treat still.
Within a narrow window.
Within a narrow window.
Yes.
There's a narrow window of black coffee that I like.
Yes. But. Okay, so for me, I switched a long time ago, probably like 10 or more than 10 years ago, maybe even 12, 14 years ago, something like that. And I was drinking a lot of coffee at work, like 6 to 8 cups a day. It was out of one of these Tassimo machines, which that's long enough ago that it was kind of before Keurig took over the world. And I would just, I would always have, I know, do you remember that? We worked together too before we were married. So you would have used the same coffee machine.
Which always got a lot of cream and sugar after.
Yeah, it sure did. It sure did. And me too. But I would just always have a cup of coffee at my desk. And what really did it for me was I was starting to get freaked out about having the sugar on my teeth all day. I'm like, I'm gonna get cavities if I keep this up. So I took the sugar out first, and then I thought, I'm almost all the way there. I just need to get myself off of dairy. Yeah. Also, I was getting like panic attacks from drinking 8 cups of coffee a day every day. So that was maybe the bigger issue. But for me, it was...
But you didn't realize that at the time, right?
No, that I realized that later. And
when
I did...
Yeah.
I did tone down the caffeine later.
Yeah.
But I was pretty driven to make that change. And you probably were not at all driven to make that change.
I was happy with the way it was.
Yeah, you were smooth sailing. Did you ever wake up and just realize, oh, I'm a black coffee person now? Did you ever have that?
Not really. There was probably a point where I would say, I just want my coffee black. And I realized, oh, I'd rather have it black. But some people might have the goal of like, I want to drink coffee black. How do I do it?
Yes. I would say, tell me if you agree on this. Maybe both dial down the intensity on sweetener and dairy, and then try eliminating one or the other.
A big part of it, though, was that you learned what kind of coffee I liked and didn't like. If you have the goal of drinking coffee black, try to explore what kinds of coffee you actually do like black. I really like a weaker coffee, and I find most pour-overs too strong. And once I realized that, like, most of the time when I didn't like the black coffee, it was just too strong for me.
Yep.
And life is short. Enjoy coffee how you want. So that was a big part of it, not just dialing down slowly.
Yep.
I also have a friend who would sprinkle cinnamon on her black coffee, and she loved that. And that helped her enjoy coffee black because that was a goal. So I think it depends on why you're doing it, but finding a way to enjoy it, not just dialing it down, is important.
I think we really should add, like, a very key part of this conversation is the quality of coffee that you're actually drinking.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that is a big part of it.
Yeah.
Like, you transitioned, I went through the gross, bitter, dark, smoky stuff.
Of the Tassimo.
Yeah. But you, like, we were buying really good specialty coffee from, I think it was Pilot we were buying from at the time.
Yeah.
For a long time before you actually switched.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true. We were not experimenting with pre-ground grocery store coffee.
Yes.
And if that's the kind of coffee you like, also no judgment. But we were experimenting with nice quality coffee. That's true. That is true.
Yeah. And I would say a big part of it for us, as I'm thinking back, is you were really drawn to the washed process for the coffee geeks out there, Central American, like you loved Guatemalan. And
I didn't know I loved that, but you
yes,
did.
So I had to kind of find what profile you were looking for.
Yeah.
Like if you're a coffee geek and you're into the anaerobic fermented, crazy stuff, that might not be the best place to start your partner on this journey.
What is that?
But you've really expanded in the types of cup of coffees that you will enjoy. Like this coffee that we're drinking right now, you never would have enjoyed this a couple years ago.
It smells like rhubarb.
Yeah.
It's actually delicious.
Yeah.
I really like it.
This is a coffee from Sorolina. It's a very adventurous in its profile. Yeah, rhubarb, little funky. It's really, and you're drinking it black. And I think you are
really
quite enjoying it. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So quality of coffee, if you're looking to make this shift, I think look out a proper specialty coffee roaster and maybe even buy direct in your area. If you can, would you say that's true? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And then dial back incrementally on the additives that you're putting in it as you make that transition.
Like I would try it with less sweetener and see how much I liked it. But then I would add what I liked in order to enjoy it, because my goal was just to enjoy a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And now I enjoy it more without milk and sugar because I can appreciate the coffee the way it is.
Yeah.
So it's just important to find coffee that you enjoy black. But not everybody has a coffee enthusiast that's slowly experimenting for years to try to get you to drink black coffee.
Yeah.
Like if you want to drink black coffee, I think experiment with how you make it.
Yeah.
and experiment with different
Yep.
types of coffee, because the coffee that you drink every day, you might just actually not just like black.
Yes. Yeah. So this leads us to another very interesting point in your black coffee journey that is actually still firmly embedded in our coffee routine. And it's that you enjoy weaker coffee compared to what many people would define as a traditional Americano or pour over. You just are not as into that. And that's okay. Would you agree?
Yeah. I typically find Americanos in a cafe too strong, and that's just me. Life is short. Enjoy coffee how you like it. I like coffee a little bit weaker. I like a pour over that's not quite as strong, and that's just how I enjoy it.
Yep.
So
Yep.
once I realized that was really helpful, because then
Yeah.
I could actually order in a cafe extra water or that kind of thing.
Yeah. And I think that that is really important for coffee enthusiasts to hear, because it's very easy to get wrapped up in the, this is the right way to make an Americano. Like, if you're at home, you're trying to make this transition and you're just finding all the coffee too strong, just make it weaker. There's nothing wrong with that. Like, get down from there.
Well, I think coffee is a very subjective experience, not an objective experience, and there is a right and wrong way. Now, there are ways to make coffee better and ways that don't work as well. But then there's a big space for preference.
Yeah.
That's, if I'm a bad person because I don't like strong coffee, so be it.
No. And fellas, like, if you're a coffee person out there and you serve your partner like this fantastic cup of coffee and they're just like, whoa, that's like just really strong, like, just add in a little water and see how they like it. And that was like a pivotal moment in when we started doing that for you. And we still drink our first cup of coffee in the morning. I brew a double espresso and I split the shot into two. That's how we're enjoying this cup right now. And we pour like 8 ounces of water into it. And coffee people, like intense coffee people, would
Big
be
no,
like,
no.
that's way too weak. Like, you can't have an Americano like that. But it's what works. So
No, it's what we enjoy.
it's what you enjoy.
It's what I enjoy. And then you'll have a second cup later.
Yeah, and I'm quite happy to enjoy that cup. It mellows things out. It makes it a little bit easier to explore those tastes. It's not getting beat over the head. Maybe it's not quite as strong as I would like, but then I make myself a second cup later.
And you can always put less water in yours than you put in mine.
Yep, and sometimes I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes I also want a bigger cup of coffee than that in the morning,
Yeah.
so I just do the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's no problem. Same goes for a pour over. If you are a pour over person, you just add a little bit of water in, and maybe there's something inside you that is like, I would never drink this. It's way too
This
weak.
is so wrong.
But serve it to your partner, see what they say, and if they enjoy it, just keep doing that and get over it.
That might be a ticket
Yeah,
to black coffee.
Yeah.
If that is a goal.
yeah, absolutely. So at this point, do you ever use sweetener, dairy, that kind of stuff in your coffee? Okay, so
Yeah,
so tell me when and why you would do that.
It's still a treat to put cream or sugar or flavored creamer, heaven forbid, or like a flavored syrup. We have a few nice flavored syrups that we enjoy.
Yeah, I'll link
It's
them
still
down
a
below.
treat. Usually I drink black coffee at home, and then when I go out, because most cafes don't make it exactly how you do, then I'll add sugar and it's a treat. So yeah, totally I do. Or if I'm
Yeah.
at a friend's house, like putting flavored creamer in my coffee is a treat, and
Yeah.
you're not there to judge me.
Yeah, totally. No. Well, sometimes when you do it at home, I get that old notepad out and I'm like, oh, that was a strike.
Not that kind of coffee.
And sometimes that's just because I didn't brew it very well, right? Like that's other,
Sometimes if it's bitter, I'll put something in it.
yeah.
And then sometimes I'm like sneaking milk in my so that you don't
Yeah.
feel bad.
That's funny when I always see when you do that though.
I know I can never sneak it.
Yeah,
But
it's
I just don't want you to feel bad.
Sometimes I look in the cup later and I see there's a little something in there and I get a little dicey about it emotionally inside.
What do you mean? You
But-
feel bad? That's why I try to hide it.
I know, but that's a me issue. You don't have to worry about that. So these days, you have said you prefer black. Why is that?
Drinking coffee black has helped me taste the subtleties between different coffee beans and different coffee grinders, and that's become a fun, enjoyable experience for me. Like
Yeah.
I also enjoy wine and wine tasting and the tasting notes in wine, and coffee is very similar. And once I learned that and started to enjoy coffee black in different ways, it's been a fun experience. So I just drink coffee black because I enjoy it more black. But that's not to say that cream sugar isn't a treat once in a while too. So.
Yep. And I just want to add, just for everybody out there and to give you a little bit of credibility here, like you don't go in for geeking out on grinders or brewing espresso machines or how to make any of that is not you.
If it were up to me, we would still have a machine on the counter we could press a button on and the coffee would come out.
Yes. Well, be careful with that though, because I don't think that at this point you would enjoy that coffee in the same way.
Well, it would probably be an X Bloom though.
Yes.
Now.
Okay, yes.
But in the beginning, it would have been any machine that Walmart sold.
But to your credit, what I will say is Sarah is an excellent taster. Like, you have had Q graders say, you should get your Q Arabica because you are really good at tasting coffee. So
it's fun. I find it fun.
It is, and you don't have to be all into the equipment in order to become a very good taster. We cup coffees together. You really are an excellent taster. Like you will sometimes get notes out of coffees that I will miss, or I'll feel like, I'm feeling like it's like a red stone fruit, and then you're just like, it's plum. And I'm like, yeah, it is.
That is a red stone fruit.
It is. I know, but it's like, I'm like a little bit more generic.
Oh, I'm more specific. Okay.
And then you'll just like laser in on, no, it's like exactly this. And I'm like, oh yeah, it is. So you are an excellent taster, but you only really get that level of clarity when you're drinking it black.
It has to be not strong coffee in order for me to get the tasting notes. If it's too strong, it's like...
Yeah, when we make those weak Americanos or weak pour overs, I will serve it to Sarah and she will get the tasting notes like bang on.
Not all the time.
Not all the time, but enough of the time for it to be a trend.
Okay.
So I just think you got to do what works for you. If you are the coffee enthusiast, you should be in dialogue with what your person likes, and you should get over some of your own biases to kind of find the cup that works for them. Yeah,
if you're trying to help somebody else drink black coffee, they might not like it the way that you do, and that's okay.
That's okay. You don't have to make them like it that way.
They don't have to like it the same way that you like it. But yeah. That's funny.
And if you are a person who, you're flying solo, you're trying to make this jump by yourself, don't be afraid to reach out in the comments either. We're always happy to jump in there and answer a question that you might have.
Bottom line is life is short, so enjoy the coffee the way that you enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hope your next cup of coffee is fantastic, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.